lesson Alphonse Daudet. The theme of this chapter is patriotism, language, and identity. Now, see how the learning the language of the country was given a priority at the end of the last lesson. Franz is reluctant to attend to school. Mr. Hamel, the teacher, announces the last French lesson due to Prussian rule. The theme of this chapter is something like regret, nostalgia, and importance of language. That is, we can have long question on linguistic pride, nationalism, and the power of education. So this concept that I'm telling you, the chapters, could be one of the questions for long question at the end of the question paper. The 5 main points of this chapter could be something like this. The story is set during the Franco-Prussian War, when France lost Alsace and Lorraine to Prussia. So the setting is Franco-Prussian War. Franz, a young schoolboy, dreads going to school as he is not prepared his lesson on participle. He is afraid of his grammar lesson, so he doesn't go to school. He is hesitant, the boy Franz. And his teacher, Hamel, announces that day was the last French lesson, since German would be taught from the next day onwards. Mr. Hamel explains the importance of the mother tongue and how people take it for granted the language, so they should not shy away from learning the mother tongue. The story ends on a melancholic note, with the boy realizing the importance of the language, the value of this French language. That is sorry, I could not see. The story ends on this melancholic note, that is a sad note, because he has realized at the end when it's very too late. By Anis Jung. The theme of the chapter is child labor and poverty, the social injustice that's in the society, how the children have been given labor work, the rising poverty among the slum areas. The story of Sahib rag picker, the two main characters, Sahib and Mukesh, that is highlighted in the chapter. Sahib is a rag picker and Mukesh is into the Bengal industry, that is, he makes Bengal. Exploitation of children due to poverty, that is the main theme of this chapter. The concepts of this chapter could be something like economic divide, the divide between rich and poor, illiteracy, and the cycle of poverty, the vicious circle of poverty. You can't come out of poverty. The chapter highlights the miserable lives of poor children who are deprived of education and forced into child labor. The child labor is one of the themes of the chapter, how the children are deprived of education, they are not given education, and they are forced to do labor work. It follows two main characters, that is, as discussed earlier, Sahib, a rag picker in Simapuri, and Mukesh, a boy from Firozabad. One is from Simapuri and the other is from Firozabad, who dreams of becoming a motor mechanic. Mukesh wants to be a motor mechanic in future. Sahib's family migrated from Bangladesh in search of a better life, but remains trapped there in this poverty. So his family, Sahib, the first one, his family had migrated from Bangladesh, and they are not able to now come out of poverty. Mukesh's family has been working in the glass blowing industry for generations, and they are unable also to come out of this bonded labor. The chapter critiques social injustice. It is a satire on social injustice and the lack of opportunities for the underprivileged class. Reporter by William Douglas. The theme of the chapter is something like overcoming fear, how to overcome fear and determination, strong willpower, strong decision to do something. Author's near drowning experience is highlighted in this chapter. and how he learns to conquer fear through persistence. He doesn't give up. The concepts like courage, willpower, and fear versus confidence is the concept or the concepts that we have to learn in this chapter. So it will be long first. And the five main points of this chapter are the autobiographical content account and discuss how the author developed a fear of water after a childhood incident, like a bully pushed him into the water in the YMCA swimming pool, and he left very traumatized. That is a very strong psychological effect on him when he's near to the drowning experience, drowning stage. Determined to overcome his fear, he starts taking swimming lessons and he practices persistently, that is, continuously. He gradually regained confidence and conquered his fear by swimming in various water bodies and later in his life. And he overcome this fear by learning how to swim. The story emphasizes the power of determination. Though he was afraid initially because of that experience of near to drowning stage, but doesn't give up, he practices and has courage in overcoming this personal fear in his life. Rattrap by Selma Lagerlof. The theme of the chapter is redemption, kindness, and transformation. Redemption means regain something to get it back. That is, it's a one philosophy in most of the religion, like Christianism, Judaism, and all. That if you uh, feel guilty, if you do something like a good action, then you can redeem your past actions. So redemption is the philosophy of religion. The kindness and transformation. What is a Hadya Parivartan? How this is change of heart in chapter. You can see the thing. The poor rat trapper, he who is selling rat traps, he views the world as a rat trap. The world in excessive is a world trap. The kindness of Adelsa Vimanson changes him, and the concepts of human goodness, compassion, and the change of heart, as said earlier, will be the main concepts of this chapter. The story revolves around a poor, homeless peddler who sells rat traps and survives through petty thefts. So, a poor, homeless peddler who is selling rat trap and he survives through doing some little uh, theory here and there. He is given shelter by an old crofter whom he later also robs him. He robs away the same person who gives him shelter. Lost in the forest, he seeks refuge at the ironmaster's house, where the ironmaster's daughter Edla treats him with kindness. And this is one of the actions by which he changes his lifestyle, or rather, he tries to redeem his bad action. The peddler undergoes a change of heart due to endless compassion. So if anybody does some wrong thing, then if you forgive him, he will feel more guilty and later on will change throughout his life. That is what happens here by endless compassion. And that person, the rat trapper, the peddler, he leaves behind a gift with a knot acknowledging his redemption. The story highlights the theme of kindness, transformation, that is change of heart, and the idea that world is a rat trap that entices people into material greed. So it's a greed that the materialistic life is highlighted in this chapter. Indigo by Lewis Pasteur. The theme of the chapter is leadership and the freedom struggle. So it's a historical chapter where the leadership of Gandhiji and the freedom struggle towards independence is highlighted. Gandhiji fights for indigo farmers' rights, the farmers' rights in Champaran. The first step towards independence, Indian independence. This is one of the first step, the story that is highlighted. The concepts could be something like self-reliance, satyagraha, and social justice. Now let's see the other five main points. The chapter narrates Mahatma Gandhi's fight for justice for the Indigo farmers of Champaran district in Bihar. Fight for justice. The British landlords forced the poor farmers to grow indigo on their own land and they started exploiting them unfairly. Gandhiji led the peasants in peaceful resistance, how to gather the legal and moral support for the same. His persistence led to an agreement where the British had to compensate the farmers and abolish the unjust Indo-farming practices that was going on there. The chapter highlights Gandhiji's leadership, his non-violent resistance, and the power of self-reliance. He says that the farmers should be taught how not to fear, to to have the freedom from fear rather than fighting against the Britishers. That is the main theme of this chapter. Poets and Pancakes by Ashok Mintran. Here the theme of the chapter is the life of the film industry and how it is a satire on the present society. The experiences of Gemini Studios is expressed or emphasized here in this chapter. The humor and irony in the film industry is showcased. So concepts like workplace politics, hierarchy, that is the upper ladder in the job, and the creativity could be the other concepts of this chapter. Now let's discuss the main points. That is humorous account of life at Gemini Studios, a prominent film production house in Chennai. So the Gemini Studios life is ridiculed here. So it is a one-way satire. It describes the use of pancake, the makeup thing, the brand of makeup. It's also exaggerated in this chapter how they're using makeups and how they're doing looking different from real. It portrays the chaotic environment of the studio. Then the author humorously depicts different employees. Especially, he describes in birds the employees working in his office, like the office boy who aspires to be a poet. He reflects on the impact of visit of the English writer and who is later identified as Stephen Spender. The chapter also highlights the contrast between creative aspirations and commercial nature of the film industry. The interview by Christopher Sylvester. Now, in this chapter, we can derive theme as journalism and the media ethics. Professional ethics or the media ethics is also showcased there. The key points could be the different views of interview, how there are some favorable and disfavorable, unfavorable, not disfavorable, unfavorable. The chapter talks about Umberto Eco's perspective and the concepts could be like power of media, perception versus reality. So there also one of the chapters where Nicole Sophie undergoes about the dreaming. So that we comparison between these two chapters here. The chapter let's say the other five main points. The chapter discusses the history, significance, and ethical concerns of interviews in journalism. So, the ethical, the moral part of interviews. It includes opinions of various authors and celebrities. Some of whom view interviews as an invasion of privacy. That is, they are not in favor of interviews. Some of the authors and celebrities. That also is mentioned in this chapter. A conversation with Umberto Eco, Italian writer, who in his interview he reveals his unique approach to writing and philosophy. Eco explains how he manages time efficiently and writes on diverse subjects. The chapter presents different perspectives on interviews, showcasing their impact on society and as well as individuals. Going Places by A.R. Barton. In this chapter, we shall see the theme as aspirations, the goals, the aim in life, and dreams versus reality. Now, the girl is living in a fantastic world. The fantasy that she undergoes, which is different from reality. Sophie dreams a glamorous life. Sophie, the main character of this chapter, lives in a world of imagination. She lives in this world. So concepts could be something like fantasy versus reality and the adolescence. That is how the adolescents live in the world of fantasy. And the difference between fantasy and real life. The story exposes the teenage fantasies to the protagonist, Sophie, who dreams a glamorous life. So the teenage fantasy of Sophie. She imagines meeting Danny Casey. You remember the name? Danny Casey, a famous football icon. And despite knowing he is unrealistic, she imagines as if she is meeting this Danny Casey. Sophie's friend Jancy is more practical and understands their working class reality, that we are from working class and we should be ground to earth. We should not be dreaming such high level things like meeting a very famous footballer. So Jancy has a different personality. Sophie's illusions cause a disappointment when a dream meeting Cassie never happens. She undergoes this disappointment, but actually she was under illusion. The story highlights the theme of ambition, imagination, and the gap between dreams and reality. So there is much gap between dream and reality that we should understand, and how she is aspiring, has much ambition of meeting some big persons, big wigs of the society. So the imaginative world and the real world. Susan Alphonse Daudet. The theme of this chapter is patriotism, language, and identity. You see, the